Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. Today I'm on the very remote island called Jura, and that's northeast of Islay. And Jura Distillery was built in 1810, but before that there were a few illicit distillers around here. And in 1831, the distillery was officially registered as a distillery in the British Kingdom. And there were troubling times in the 18th century, and then the distillery got closed, and it finally opened up in 1963. And it produced since then. In the beginning they did more blends, and they reduced the blends over the years, and now we have the Jura single malt whiskey. And today we're going to find out how Jura single malt whiskey is made. Behind me is the malt mill of the Jura distillery, and it grinds down the malts into a coarse grist, and that is later used in the mashing. And 4 weeks a year they use peated malt for the Jura Prophecy and the Jura Superstition. After the malt has been grinded down, it enters the mash tun, and inside the mash tun it is dissolved in hot water, and this solves out all the sugars that are later used in the fermentation. You solve the sugars twice, and then the last run is there to solve all the starch. Then the water is stored in a big tank, and this water is used for solving the sugar in the next batch. So nothing is wasted here at the Jura distillery. The Jura distillery has 6 wash bags with a capacity of 48,300 liters, and it takes about 54 hours for a wash bag to ferment the mash to the beer. It takes 2 mash tuns to fill 1 wash bag, so the distillery fills the wash bag with 1 mash tun, then adds the yeast, and then fills in another mash tun to fill it up to the top. And this here is just being filled, and before filling they actually cool down the mash so the hot temperatures couldn't hurt the yeast, and the yeast can ferment all the stuff in here to a good 8% beer. Right next to me are the wash stills of Jura. These are the second tallest stills in Scotland and the tallest on the islands. They have a capacity of 24,000 liters, so one fermentation tank splits up in the 2 wash stills, and they distill it up to 23% alcohol. They have a constricting piece right above the kettle, and that means they have a lot of reflux, so the alcohols are split very fine, and you get a fine refined spirit for your whiskey. The second step is the spirit still behind me. It has the same shape, and only 10% of what we got from the fermentation wash bag ends up in the cask. So the center cut that is cut out here is only 10%. Before that we have the foreshots, and after that we have the feints that are all getting back into the tank and being recycled, so we get everything out of the spirit. Behind me is the spirit tank, where the ready-made spirit is collected. Then they dilute it down with the spring water to 63.5% ABV, and they fill it into ex-bourbon casks, and after they've matured it for a while, they transfer the whiskey into different casks to finish them in sherry, fortified wine, to give the distinctive flavor that the product should have in the end. So I'm sitting here at the visitor center with Rachel Jones.
Hello.
She's the visitor center manager. Thank you for having us at the Jura distillery. We've already got some whiskeys here, so
yes.
What are we having today?
So I've just given you a selection of our core range, which are readily available most places. So we'll be starting with our 10-year-old, then our 16-year-old, the Jura's Own, then onto the Superstition and the Prophecy.
Ah, okay. Very nice. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
Dive right in. So we'll be starting with, this is your 10-year-old here. So this has been aged its whole life in ex-bourbon casks. So it's a really light, delicate. It's a lovely dram, really good.
So it's an unpeated whiskey.
Yeah,
as I smell
unpeated.
it.
Yes. So Jura is more sort of we're more about the unpeated whiskey. We only do our peated whiskey for 4 weeks of every year. So we're a lot more of our whiskies are unpeated than peated. If that makes sense. So
Yeah, but you're more of a Highland malt for the characteristic.
Because of the style of our stills, we've got the second highest stills in Scotland, and some of the biggest by volume. That gives us a very light and very delicate new make spirit, which then goes into making obviously our whiskey. So it gives us a very light and very delicate whiskey.
Okay. Yeah, I got bit of a spiciness on, but I have also flowers. So there's no sherry in there.
No sherry for this one. It's all ex-bourbon.
But there's a bit of fruitiness going on there. Okay.
Are you ready
So,
to taste?
cheers.
Cheers.
Lighter. It's a nice sipping whiskey.
It's a really easy to drink, this one.
Got a bit of honey.
Yeah. Sort of oak, honey, caramel, things like that.
Yeah.
Here at Jura, we're very much we don't like to kind of tell people what they're tasting, because I find that quite the power of suggestion is very strong. As soon as I say to you, like, oh, orange,
Yeah.
you'll be, oh yeah, orange, and it's I really like to let people kind of let me know what they're tasting, because during the a session, say you've got 6 people here, you're going to start getting really interesting things from folks. So
Yeah, and the thing is, it always depends on your mood and the setting, and they always taste different at the distillery.
See, that's the thing. This is going to taste the best ever. Like, you've got the view of the sea. You're here. It's a cold day outside. You're nice and warm in here. This is going to be
really.
you'll enjoy it the best.
It's a nice one. So we had the production capacity of 2.2 million liters per year.
Yeah.
That's quite big. Do you support any blends?
Unfortunately, we don't have, well, fortunately maybe, we don't put any of our whiskey into blends anymore. About sort of 6 years ago, we were still having a small percentage going to blends, but now we're barely able to keep up with how much people are wanting our whiskey, so we're unable to have any go off to blends. Everything now is used for Jura, for our single malt.
So 2.2 million liters of production going into single malt.
Yes.
That's a good thing. So
yes. Yeah.
that's probably good. So we're not running out of any stock. And
I hope not.
okay. So
So next up we have our 16-year-old. So this is this was renamed the Jurek Own. This is the favourite of the islanders here. We all get a free dram every month from the distillery that we can claim over at the hotel. And this is the one that most people will be going for. It's a really, really lovely dram. This is 14 years in the ex-bourbon, and then 2 years in sherry.
So it's a sherry.
So it's got
finish.
sherry finish, and
yeah, you get a bit of grapes in there, and maybe that's not grapes, that's berries. But I also get flowery scent. Yeah.
This is probably my favourite, I think.
That's good that you get a drum every now and then. Okay, really nice.
You ready?
Cheers. How much alcohol do they have?
This one is 40%.
Yeah, it's pretty mild and mellow. It's not sharp then. So are your whiskeys coloured in any way?
So we do have to add sometimes a little bit of colour to our 10-year-old. It's simple. I've got a kind of an example of it here. These are all if
I'll
you'd
just
like
show
to
that
show
to
it.
the
Yeah.
camera.
So these are all from 21-year-old age casks. So obviously with a 10-year-old it won't be quite as extreme, but you can see the difference you're going to get from the colour of your whiskey from each cask. Every cask is individual, so every cask gives slightly different things to your whiskey. So it's not as extreme, obviously, for a 10-year-old, but we will then, once we're vatting, we want to make sure that the whiskey's always, it's more of a consumer thing. Consumers don't like to come and look on a shelf, and if it looks a different colour, they think, oh, it tastes different, it's going to be a different whiskey.
We sell a lot of whiskey,
yeah.
and we get all kinds of complaints and all kinds of
Yes.
trouble. So we're actually a bit glad that we have a continuous
That's the thing.
product.
It's all about consumer confidence, and unfortunately, most consumers maybe won't realise that there will be natural variations. With sort of other of our whiskies, they're more, perhaps people who are a bit more into their whiskey will be buying them, so they'll be more aware of the fact that there will be natural variations within a whiskey. So, but for the 10-year-old, we like to keep it so that everyone is quite happy with what they're getting.
Okay, so we have the 10-year-old bit of color in there, and the rest is natural color.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the third
So
one?
the next one, we're now moving into our peated whiskies. So this is our Superstition. So this is a very, very lightly peated, really lightly peated, and it's a marriage of sort of unpeated and peated whiskies. So it makes it quite a complex, quite an interesting dram. So I'd like to have a wee.
Oh yeah, get the peat. Do you know the ppm level we're looking at?
Not really. It can vary. It's quite low. It's in the low teens. Kind of.
Teens, okay. So when do you know when you do the vetting process between the peated and the unpeated whiskies? Is that during the spirit phase, or is that during the
It's later on after maturation.
after maturation you do that? So it's the master blender takes the casks and blends them together.
This is when Richard Patterson does all his magic.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's lightly peated.
It's really light, isn't it?
I usually get for the heavily peated.
Yeah.
I'm more of the extreme guy, but
You're an Octomore man.
Octomore, that's something else. But it's interesting anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Is
but it's amazing. Here you have a slightly peated one, and there are more flavors that you can pick up if you don't have that big of a peat.
that's the great thing about the Superstition. It won a lot of awards because it's a really quite complex dram. I think sometimes it's easy to not notice that, but there's a lot going on in there because if you've got these two sort of sides going on, it's a really lovely one. I think. Yeah.
Okay, so the last one.
The last one, finally, we're on to Prophecy. So this is
Prophecy?
for you, the heavily peated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no Octomore for the level of peat, but it's still pretty peated.
So
this one is a wee bit stronger as well. This is 46%.
okay, yeah, I think I can smell it a bit.
So this has been aged in bourbon and in the Limousin oak casks as well.
The Limousin is the French oak.
Yeah, French oak. Yeah.
French oak. Yeah, I get a bit more heavy notes. Can't quite figure out what it is.
It's a tough one.
It's complex, definitely.
There's sort of, well, to me it's sort of like tarry bonfire kind of smells and sort of sea spray kind of, but everyone's different, so.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of a salty note. So you have all the the signs and all the great
symbols.
shapes of the bottle and thing. Is there anything behind that?
Yeah, well, the bottle shape is a practicality, like many things on Jura, to be honest. It was just that when, in days when we were shipping out from Jura to other places, this way with the bottle, there was only 4 points of contact, so when they were in a boat, there was less chance of them breaking. You know, if you have bottles all lined up. So this way, they had less chance of breaking on their sea journey.
So it's actually, I always thought that's a marketing thing, like,
Yeah,
but it's more of a practical
It had a
thing.
practical thing, and
Nice.
personally, I think it's quite a ergonomically
It
nice
actually
bottle.
fits
Yeah, it's
really nice
yeah.
in your hand. I like the feel of the bottle
Yes.
when you hold it. That is really cool.
Yeah, it sounds bad to say that you like the feel of a whole
A
bottle
whole
of whiskey.
bottle
in
of
your-
whiskey in that.
But it's a lovely bottle to hold, and but yes, it had a practical past.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So yeah, let's have a
Yes,
try.
cheers,
Cheers.
cheers.
Mm. Ah, it comes a bit slow. The peat comes a bit slow.
It's like a build up of
Mm. But it's like a ham.
like a ham.
Ham. Yeah, that reminds me of ham. Mm.
This is what I mean about when you do tastings, you'll always hear something quite interesting from people. And I've never heard ham.
You've never heard of ham yet?
No one's ever said that the whiskey tastes like ham. So.
Yeah, but one of the smoked hams,
I'm
not
joking,
like
sorry.
that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for having us.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, that's our video about the Jura Distillery. Thanks for watching. If you find this video, then please share it with your friends. And if you ever come to Scotland, you should definitely
Yeah,
go
please
out to
stop
Jura.
by.
It's a remote island, but the trip is worth it. Thanks for watching.